I was standing on stage at the Denver Marriott, smiling like a damn idiot, holding a glass plaque with my name etched across the front. Leadership Impact Award. 300 people in banquet chairs clapping like seals, while Darren Kraft, our beloved CEO, grinned with his perfect veneers and handed me the mic. "Let's hear it for Greg Sandell," he said. 2 record-breaking contracts this quarter alone, Iron Hand Freight and Spear Tech. We wouldn't be here without him. People stood up. Music swelled. Some intern handed me a flute of champagne I didn't ask for. I nodded, tight-lipped. Not the time to gloat, right? Then Darren turned to the screen behind us. And now, a quick welcome video for the future of Wexley procurement. Our new director, Nate Sorensen. The lights dimmed. My hand froze around the plaque. I knew that name. Nate, the guy I trained 3 years ago. Couldn't write a coherent RFP if you handed him a template. That Nate. The video rolled, upbeat music, fast cuts of Nate in conference rooms, shaking hands with vendors, posing in front of whiteboards like he invented logistics. I glanced sideways. Darren was smiling, glass raised. The crowd clapped again. Same rhythm, same dumb grins. When the lights came back up, Darren spoke into the mic again. As we welcome Nate, we also want to recognize Greg's transition out of Wexley. We thank him for his years of service and wish him the best on his next chapter. I just stood there, holding the plaque like it meant something. No warning, no heads up, no private meeting, just public execution. Quick note: before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. People clapped like they were watching a damn wedding toast. Music came back on. Darren raised his glass. "Here's to bold transitions." I smiled, nodded, even raised my glass back. But my chest was pounding. Not one person said anything. Nobody flinched. The leadership team clapped along like they didn't just watch me get gutted on stage. I walked off calm. Too calm. That scared me more than anything. I didn't head to the bar, didn't say a word to Nate, just walked straight through the ballroom doors and down the escalator. My feet felt mechanical. My hands were tingling. They filmed that video. They booked the music. They printed the new title card for Nate. This wasn't a last-minute pivot. This was a damn ambush. Planned, scripted. And I wasn't mad at them for doing it. I was mad at myself for not seeing it coming. Back in my hotel room, I dropped the award on the desk like it was something I'd picked up from Lost and Found, still wearing the same dress shoes, still buttoned up to the collar. I sat on the edge of the bed, pulled out my phone, and tapped the company app. Nothing, no calendar, no email, no VPN. Locked out. I tried again. Same result. The system had already wiped me, so they didn't just fire me on stage, they'd flipped the switch days ago. Probably told ET to wait until after the banquet to make it official. Meanwhile, I was still chasing contracts for them, still working, still delivering. I just sat there, staring at the blank screen. 2 days. That's how long I'd been officially out without knowing it. They waited until I handed them the last deal, then dragged me up there to smile for the crowd. The silence in that room now made more sense than anything. The marketing team, HR, even the execs at my table, they all knew. I was the only one clapping for my own funeral. My stomach started to turn. I loosened my collar and leaned forward, elbows on my knees. The Denver skyline looked fake through the window, all glitter and glass and nothing real behind it. I opened my photo gallery and scrolled through old meeting shots. Site visits, team dinners, strategy boards from conference rooms across 6 states. My name had been on every whiteboard. My voice had opened every call. And slowly, over the last 6 months, they'd been erasing me. I remembered the moment they reassigned the Spear Tech rollout. No explanation, just, we're consolidating resources. 2 weeks later, I wasn't looped into the Ventura kickoff either. Darren smiled through it all, said I was best used upstream. Bulletin. I'd built those relationships from scratch. Cold calls, late nights, early flights, face-to-face trust. Not marketing fluff, real connections. And yet, every time he excluded me, I backed down, gave him the benefit of the doubt, played the team player. That was the cut I didn't see coming, not the firing, the slow, careful bleed out. He waited until I was no longer necessary, but still useful. Still closing, still building bridges he planned to walk across. They didn't fire me because I wasn't performing. I brought in $312 million in 1 quarter, and not because of luck, not because the market was hot, because I know how to close. He fired me because that kind of win looks better when he doesn't have to share it. That's what burned. Not the job, not the stage. The fact that I let it happen. Every sign was there, every red flag. I ignored them. Told myself it was politics, not sabotage. I gave him everything he needed to push me out, and I didn't even ask for a seat at the table. I was too damn loyal. I stood up, walked to the minibar, and cracked open a bottled water. Couldn't even stomach a drink. I glanced at the award again. Stupid piece of glass. They handed it to me, knowing I wouldn't even make it to Monday. I opened my laptop, same lockout, no access, not even a ping from IT. I closed it slowly and stared at the window again. Same city. Different game now. He thought he'd made a clean cut, but he didn't know what I'd been building, and I hadn't even shown my hand yet. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid there in that stiff-ass hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, arms crossed, heart ticking like a metronome. By morning, I had a plan. I pulled my suitcase off the rack and unzipped the lining at the bottom, where I kept the second laptop. Personal machine. Never logged on to company Wi-Fi. Separate account. Encrypted drive. I popped it open and waited for the screen to boot while I sat cross-legged on the floor. This was the laptop Darren didn't know existed. Hell, nobody at Wexley did. Once it loaded, I opened the folder I'd labeled Continuity Documents. Inside were 3 contract sets, SpearTech, Ventura Solutions, and Iron Hand Freight. All signed, all executed, all reviewed by outside counsel. And every single one of them had the same clause baked in. Section 14, B, Key Contact Integrity, plain English. If Wexley removed me from the relationship without documented cause, the client had the right to withdraw. No fees, no penalties, no obligation to renew. Total freedom to walk. It wasn't sneaky, it wasn't buried, it was bold and upfront, and it was there because I earned it. I'd spent 2 years building trust with these execs, sitting across from them at shitty airport restaurants, riding with them in their trucks to tour their warehouses, walking floors with steel-toe boots and safety glasses while Darren was too busy chasing headlines. They didn't partner with Wexley because of the brand. They partnered because of the person in front of them. And I made damn sure that was written into the deal. I scrolled through the Ventura contract. Keller's signature stared back at me. Clean, thick pen stroke, dated 7 months ago. Then I pulled up the Iron Hand agreement. Eleanor Green, initials next to the clause. Took us 6 months to negotiate that one. She was sharp, thorough, read every line, and she agreed. If we're investing, it's in the relationship, she said. Not the org chart. Then there was SpearTech. That deal nearly broke me. 43 calls, 7 site visits, and a vendor audit from hell. I got them through it, gave them confidence. And in return, their counsel signed off on the clause. These weren't filler accounts. This was real money, real leverage, and Darren never saw it coming. He signed off on all of it, never asked questions, never dug into the terms. He was too busy counting wins to notice the wire I'd run through the foundation. I had a rule. If I was going to own the relationship, I was going to protect it. He thought firing me was a chess move, thought he'd get the credit and ride the PR wave. But what he did was trigger the trap I'd built piece by piece, email by email, clause by clause. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't even smug. I was ready. Because I didn't lay those clauses out of paranoia. I laid them out like a contractor pours a foundation. Slow, measured, intentional, for when the storm comes. I closed the contracts, checked the timestamp on the files. Nothing had been touched since signing. Perfect. Then I opened a blank document. Started a list with 3 bullets. SpearTech, GC, Maria Anderson Ventura, CEO, Byron Keller, Iron Hand, Ops, Eleanor Green. I wasn't reaching out yet, not today. I just needed to confirm something, needed to see it, clear as day, in front of me. They didn't just cut me, they walked straight into my claws. And now it was my turn to decide who got to stay standing. I stared at the list for a while. 3 names, 3 bullets. Then I closed the file and opened a different tab. The URL wasn't saved. I typed it in manually. stratnorthconsulting.com. All lowercase, no hyphens. The page loaded, fast, clean, black text on a white background, no fluff. Just a single line, where alignment meets execution. 6 months earlier, I filed the paperwork in Colorado. Strat North wasn't a hobby. It wasn't some half-baked backup plan. It was structured, funded, and ready. A real business built behind a firewall Darren never thought to check. I kept it off my devices at work, hired a separate legal team, small outfit out of Loveland, sharp and discreet. We drafted every form, contract, and policy from scratch. Full compliance. No overlap with Wexley. No stolen IP. I wasn't planning to use it, not then. But I also wasn't stupid. The first time Darren cut me from a meeting without explanation, I started sketching ideas. The second time, I opened an LLC. While he was practicing his keynotes, I was designing back-end architecture on a rented server in Salt Lake. I wasn't chasing funding or pitching investors. I was building, quietly, nights, weekends, lunch breaks. I wrote the service model myself, scoped it down to what I knew I could actually deliver. Procurement intelligence, negotiation coaching, systems optimization. High-value, low-noise work. Then I found a designer, fresh out of a boot camp in Boise, eager to prove herself. I paid her from my own account. No tax games, no shady contracts. Just real work for real money. She built the UI for the client portal. Secure logins, encrypted threads, document uploads, dashboard integrations. Clean, fast, professional. I never posted about it, never hinted, not once. I didn't need anyone to validate it. I needed it ready, and now it was. I clicked through the sections, about services, contact. Everything worked, everything live. Then I scrolled down to the admin panel, hit the button labeled Activate. A tiny green check mark popped up. Strat was officially live. I leaned back in the desk chair and looked out the window. The sun was setting over Denver, bouncing off the glass like a signal flare. I didn't grin, I didn't toast, I just whispered, okay. The next day I booked a lunch reservation at Guard and Grace, corner booth, medium rare ribeye. No company card this time, paid cash. I wasn't celebrating, I just wanted quiet. Server dropped the steak in front of me. I cut in. First bite still hot when my phone buzzed. From Maria Anderson, Spear Tech Legal. Subject termination notice, Wexley procurement agreement. One sentence, cold, surgical. Per section 14B of the executed agreement, we are withdrawing based on unauthorized removal of key strategic personnel. I read it twice. That was it. No apology, no drama, no request for a call, just done. I set the phone down and chewed. That line, key strategic personnel, might as well have been my name in all caps. SpearTech didn't need me to respond. They weren't bluffing. They were executing. $122 million. Gone from Darren's forecast before Q4 even started. No press release, no leak, no LinkedIn post. Just one clean pullout. I took another bite, slower this time. Let it settle. Let the silence hang. Across town, I knew the panic was already spreading. Legal scrambling, PR rewriting the narrative, finance trying to figure out how to plug a crater. And Darren? He was probably staring at the email in disbelief, trying to remember if he even saw that clause. I knew the answer. He didn't. He never read the fine print. I flagged the waiter, ordered coffee, and checked my phone again. Another message. Not from SpearTech. This one from a procurement analyst I used to mentor at Wexley. Did you hear about the pullout? Whole floor is on fire. Nobody saw it coming. I didn't reply. They thought they fired me. What they did was kick out a leg from under their own table and act surprised when it wobbled. The clause was legal, binding, and crystal clear. Remove me without cause, they walk. Period. I didn't twist arms. I didn't scheme. I just had it in writing. Darren always bragged about knowing how to play chess. What he forgot is that in chess, pawns don't write contracts. I finished my steak, drank the coffee, took my time. I didn't need to send an email. I didn't need to gloat. I paid the bill, nodded at the hostess, and walked out into the Colorado sun. Behind me, Wexley was leaking, and I hadn't even touched the second clause yet. The next morning, I was still in sweats, no coffee yet, when the knock hit my door. Courier, early, no clipboard, no signature needed. Just handed me a heavy manila envelope, nodded once, and walked off. I closed the door and took it straight to the desk. Top corner, Ventura Solutions. Clean black ink on thick ivory stock. Inside was one sheet of paper. We choose to continue our contract under Strat Consulting. That was it. No fluff, no spin, just a sentence. Attached behind it, a new agreement. signed by Byron Keller, dated yesterday, effective immediately. I flipped to the last page. There was my signature line, already filled in for me. My name, my company, my terms. Then I saw the second item in the envelope, a pocket knife, the same one I gave Byron after we closed the original Wexley deal. Walnut handle, steel blade, his initials engraved on one side. I remembered handing it to him in a bar in Indianapolis, years back. Now there was a fresh engraving on the other side. Used once, still sharp. I didn't laugh, just set it on my desk beside the contract. Because that wasn't revenge. That was a man saying, I remember who showed up. I slid the blade open once, tested the weight, then closed it and placed it beside my keyboard. Then I got to work. No social posts, no messages, no victory laps. I onboarded Ventura like any client, professionally, thoroughly, by the book. Sent credentials for the portal, uploaded project templates, activated data tracking, all clean, all legal, no NDA breaches, no client poaching, no bullshit. I didn't need to steal anyone from Wexley. I just built something they'd rather stay with. While Darren was still recovering from the Spear Tech hit, Ventura quietly stepped across the line. Not because I begged, because I earned it. That day I ignored every incoming call, let my phone buzz itself into silence. I made no announcements. I wasn't looking for noise. I was watching for confirmation. And this knife, this contract, this sentence, it was all the confirmation I needed. Quiet loyalty. That's the kind that lasts. Because loud loyalty, that's for press releases. What Byron sent me, that was steel. By Thursday morning, Wexley stock had dropped 28%. I didn't check it. People sent me screenshots, circles and arrows, like I needed the drama. Shareholders were demanding calls. Clients were contacting board members directly. Legal couldn't contain it. Inside the company, things were coming apart fast. I heard from someone in finance, said 2 mid-levels had walked out the day before. Another one in vendor ops handed in their badge before lunch. The email chains were chaos. People were guessing, panicking, trying to plug holes in a ship they didn't know was sinking until it tilted. I didn't say a word, not on LinkedIn, not to reporters, not even to people I liked. I didn't need to. The business press figured it out all on their own. One outlet published a piece titled, "When Loyalty is Written in Legalese, the Strategic Collapse of Wexley Procurement." The article broke it all down. The sudden pullout from Spear Tech, the quiet transition to Strat North, the clause buried in each contract like a detonator. They didn't use my name, but they didn't have to. The comments under the story, brutal. Industry folks weren't just reading, they were paying attention. And Darren, he was quiet. Not a single post, no statement, no save the ship speech, which told me everything. By that night, my inbox lit up. One email stood out, bold font, flagged high priority. From Darren Kraft. Subject, let's reset. I opened it. The tone, polished, slippery, the kind of language meant to sound humble, but still control the story. He offered me a return, direct to board, executive title, full equity, no need to rehash the past. He wrote that line like it was a peace treaty. He didn't get it. There was no past. This wasn't a disagreement. This was cause and effect. You burn a bridge, you don't get to send a limo through the ashes. I didn't even finish reading. I archived it. Then opened my Strat North email settings, scrolled down, and set a new autoresponder. This inbox is no longer active. That was it. No salutation, no name. Let him wonder. Let him sit in that quiet. When you've said everything through action, words just get in the way. I stood up, stretched my back, looked out the window at the dark Denver skyline. Lights blinking in towers like the city was thinking. Somewhere out there, Darren was pacing. Somewhere, his board was meeting behind closed doors. Somewhere, PR was begging for direction, and legal was rewriting contracts. And me? I wasn't celebrating. I was onboarding client number 2. No press, no flair. Just log-in credentials and a welcome packet. The play wasn't revenge. It was correction. And they'd done most of it themselves. The following Tuesday, I opened Wexley's website out of habit. I didn't expect anything. I just wanted to see if the panic had settled. Then I noticed it. Subtle, almost too clean. Darren's name was gone from the executive page. No banner, no thank you post. No farewell video with acoustic guitar in the background, just deleted. I checked the press page. Nothing, not a word. They didn't fire him with a speech. They buried him with silence. The new interim CEO, Mitchell Grant. And that made me laugh. Because I was the one who brought Mitchell into the room a year earlier, back when the board was looking for a third-party vendor advisor. They asked for recommendations. I gave them his name. He was sharp, quiet, detail-obsessed, didn't chase attention, chased results. Darren ignored him, of course. Thought Mitchell was too technical, not enough vision. Guess who's running the company now? That same morning, I got an email from Mitchell. Subject, long memory. The body was short, one line. I remember who put my name in the room. Let's talk, not for Wexley, for the industry. I sat with it for a second. I didn't need the call, didn't need the opportunity, but the message mattered, because a week ago, they tried to erase me, strip my name from the wins, cut me out of the narrative, replace me mid-sentence. Now the guy they picked to clean up the mess, he was someone I chose. I didn't respond right away. Took a walk first. Around the block, no music, no podcast, just me, Denver air, and a long line of thoughts that stretched further than the skyline. I thought about that room a year back, board conference table, Darren talking like he owned the air in the room, Mitchell sitting 2 seats down, flipping pages in a binder he built himself. Nobody noticed him, except me. I saw it then. The way he read risk like it was printed in red ink. The way he waited to speak until everyone else was exhausted from guessing. I didn't vouch for him to look good. I did it because I knew what was coming. And now the board finally saw who had real judgment. Too late for them, but not for me. I walked back into my apartment, opened the email again, and typed one sentence. Let's keep it off the record for now. Hit send, close the laptop. Not because I was playing hard to get, because I had nothing left to prove. And if they wanted a conversation, they could come correct this time. No podium, no plaque, no fake applause. Just real names, real decisions, and people who actually pay attention. The air smelled like concrete and dust. No stage crew, no spotlight. Just a podium bolted into the warehouse floor and a black Strat North banner hung from steel rafters with zip ties. 6 months since Wexley cut me. Felt like 6 years. The venue was a converted shipping depot in South Denver. Raw, cold, loud when people walked. That was the point. I didn't want polished. I wanted real. We had a coffee station, bottled water, and 80 chairs. That was it. No shrimp skewers, no executive sponsors. Just people who actually wanted to be there. Clients, peers, a couple former Wexley folks who saw what was coming before the floor collapsed. I stood behind the podium in boots and a blazer, no mic needed. The room quieted on its own. I didn't tap a glass, didn't wave, just waited. When it felt right, I said one thing. This isn't revenge, it's course correction. That was it, nothing else. No sales pitch, no victory lap, just that. Then I stepped back. 3 people stood from the front row and walked up behind me, one at a time, no applause, no stage music, just presence. Marge Lane from Spear Tech, Byron Keller from Ventura, Eleanor Green from Iron Hand Freight. They didn't speak, they didn't need to. They stood with me. That moment was louder than any headline Wexley ever bought. Nobody clapped, nobody needed to. Because when you see something real, you don't perform. You acknowledge. I stepped down from the stage, shook hands, said thank you where it mattered, then I let people mingle. That wasn't my time anymore. It was theirs. I spent most of the next hour off to the side, near the roll-up door, just watching. Clients meeting clients, contractors trading information, my designer from Boise finally introducing herself in person. Small frame, sharp eyes, way smarter than I ever gave her room to show. She said, "Feels more like a movement than a company." I said, "That's the goal." By 9, the lights were dimming. People drifted out with no pressure to stay. No speeches to sit through, no fake hugs, just quiet departures and honest nods. I didn't check my phone once. Later that night, I was home. Living room dark, streetlight bleeding through the blinds. I poured one bourbon, neat. Sat by the window. Didn't turn on music. Didn't scroll through photos. Just watched the street. Not calm, not proud, free. Because all those months ago, when Darren dragged me up on stage and smiled like a man giving a gift, I thought I'd lost something, but I hadn't. He didn't end me. He released me.